are now watching the Amazing Mets Pregame Show with your hosts, Rob and CP.
Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets!
Mets fans, welcome back to the Amazing Mets Pregame Show right here on both of our channels and on X. Hopefully, everybody, if you're a Mets fan, is enjoying themselves on this Wednesday, July 24th. Another Subway Series game on the docket today, and the Mets are looking to sweep the season series against our cross-time rivals, the New York Yankees, with Sean Manaea on the mound and Garrett Cole for the Yankees. Oh boy, oh my God, what a game yesterday. Nail biter. Give it up to the bullpen. Give it up to Jeff McNeil, Pete Alonso, and look, I think we need a round of applause for Jeff McNeil and Pete Alonso, who, you know what, are starting to put exceptional at-bats together, specifically Jeff McNeil, but even Pete Alonso has been putting better at-bats together, and Pete Alonso slowly getting his swing back, hitting the ball harder, hitting the ball with authority, and Jeff McNeil with a huge two-run home run, the game-winning home run in the top of the sixth to right center. I mean, it was just, I was at a bar with a couple of my coworkers. We were going nuts. It was fun. It was a hell of a lot of fun. And the Mets win 3-2 and look to sweep the Subway Series in 2024. Chris, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm energized, Rob. I came on here right before we went live. I told you, I was like, yo, we got a season series to sweep tonight, and I'm absolutely energized. I might be drinking my third cup of coffee on the day. That might be helping me. The weather might be gloomy where I'm at. But you know what? We got some Mets baseball to watch tonight. Very thrilled, very pumped up. Exactly what you just said about Jeff McNeil, giving Carlos Mendoza his props. I went live this afternoon at around 1 o'clock on my channel. If you missed the stream, links in the description on my stream right now down below. If you missed it, as soon as you're done watching this, go check it out. Have to give props where props are due. Carlos Mendoza trusting Jake Diekman, who is throwing the ball exceptionally well. Having that gut feeling as a manager is hard to do sometimes, especially with a reliever that has struggled all season long, going up against one of the game's best in Aaron Judge in that scenario when he already had been walked 4 times previously. I'm also hyped because my New York Knicks extended Tom Thibodeau. Yes, I am a Tom Thibodeau truther. He got a 3-year extension. And I saw some video right before we went live about Jalen Brunson getting cleats gifted to him by Aaron Judge. I don't like Jalen Brunson fraternizing with the New York Yankees whatsoever. But yeah, man, I'm hyped. I can't wait to talk about this team. This should be an exciting stream. Make sure you all hit that thumbs up. No live chat poll right now, but I appreciate you all in the live chat. Keep hitting those thumbs up and dropping those comments. We appreciate you all being here. Let's go, Mets. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. And before we really get into the game, overall, it was a tug of war by both teams, giving the other team chances to win ball games. Like it was back and forth. Like there was so many opportunities on both sides. If it was, the lack of clutch hitting, the lack of smart base running in this game. I mean, it was 2 teams that did not want to win the game. It just felt like that the entire game. It was anybody's ball game for the majority of the game. And they just kept on giving it back, an opportunity back to the other team until Jeff McNeil hit that ball over the wall. And yeah, it got very interesting with the bullpen arms that were available. I mean, talk about BC level, guys that we had to use. And, Nunez look good, but I mean, Diekman with the strikeout of Judge. I mean, that took some balls to go 96 miles an hour inside, right in Judge's wheelhouse. And you know what? The Mets and Mendoza psyched Aaron Judge out, because if you listen to the post game, I don't know if a lot of people did, but Aaron Judge was saying, well, he walked Soto on 4 pitches and they walked me the entire game. He wasn't expecting a fastball anywhere near the zone. So you basically had him thinking at the plate in the biggest spot in the ninth inning and struck out Aaron Judge. Now, I know a lot of Met fans, right? Everybody pumped their fist when that happened, but there was still one more out to get. And as Met fans, we are always thinking in the back of our minds, oh boy, you got Judge out, but now you got to get Ben Rice out, who's been really struggling, but had just missed a home run earlier in the ball game. And who knows what would have felt like if Ben Rice would have came through in that spot, but he did not. And give a lot of credit to Diekman, who's been struggling, whose confidence is probably the lowest it can possibly be, probably in his career, the way he's been pitching throughout his career. And as a Met, a lot of people wanted him DFA'd, and he came up huge yesterday, knowing there was an opportunity that he would be pitching late in the ball game with no Diaz and, a lot of our top guys not available to pitch. And he got it done. And this is what Mendoza is trying to preach with everybody. Next man up mentality. Mendoza, look at his post-game show. He's like, why do you pitch Aaron Judge? I don't know. I had a gut feeling. Like, things like that. Now, if it didn't work, he would have got killed for it. 100% got killed for it. Why don't you walk Judge? Even if it's Soto would have been in scoring position, who knows what would have happened. But just to trust your players, that stuff goes a long way. And Chris, we talk about this on a lot of our shows. He trusts his players, regardless of this we do, because I know a lot of people are like, oh no, Diekman in the ninth inning, you got to be kidding me, right? Why not try Jose Butto, even though he's pitched a ton over the last couple of days? He trusts his guys, and you have to trust your guys, regardless of what has been going on throughout this stretch of games where your pitchers, some certain pitchers are not playing well, Chris. And I just love the fact that Mendoza has the pulse of his team, pulse of the players, and trust in his guys, even when the majority of fans don't trust certain pitchers, and he does. And it's benefiting him, and I think it's going to benefit him going forward with 59 games to go, 60 games to go in the season. I don't know your thoughts, Chris, but I think it goes a long way with the players in trusting your manager, as we talked about 2 years ago with Buck Showalter, as when Buck Showalter says, I'm pointing to you and you do the job, the players believed in it. And I think exactly what they're doing here with Carlos Mendoza.
A couple things here. 100% the feel for the game is such an underrated aspect, especially amongst like rookie managers, which Carlos Mendoza obviously is, right? In the post game, and I agree with you. This is what I said exactly on my live stream earlier today, is that he would have gotten absolutely killed for this move had it not worked out. But in the post game, when he was asked about it, what I respected so much is that when you're in the game, in real time, needing to make a decision, you have to go off of how you feel your player is performing up until that point. Jake Diekman, minus that Juan Soto at bat, was generally in the strike zone. And that's not often that we've seen Jake Diekman be that locked in and that in the strike zone. He's usually nibbling, and sometimes he completely doesn't have it at all, and he's throwing just wild pitches into the other's batter's box, right? But Mendoza noticed that early on in the first at-bat or two, really before the Juan Soto at-bat, I guess, right? I guess it was the first at bat. He noticed that Jake Diekman was pumping the strike zone. And that is something that I respected. So even if it wouldn't have worked out, I can't say I would have killed him for it personally, although I know the rest of the fan base probably would have. That version of Jake Diekman, just watching him in real time, didn't look like the struggling Diekman of the rest of the previous 2024 season that we've seen so far. So that's first and foremost. And 100% agree on everything else, right? Like, everybody is playing their part at this point. You didn't have Edwin Diaz because of the debacle the previous night. Jose Butto, I'm sure, was already unavailable. They probably had slated him as unavailable, and nobody was warming up after Diekman. So it is a very gutsy win, and it's a testament to everybody playing their part. And they need to continue to do that. Now you look forward to this game, and you have Edwin Diaz. You have Jose Butto. You might not have Daniel Nunez, who also we need to talk about as being such a clutch performer in the clutch, coming up in huge situations for this team as he got out of a jam in that sixth inning. something that Adam Ottavino probably should take a playbook out of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this bullpen, for as bad personnel-wise as it's been, right, to end the first half, etc., injuries galore, unusual circumstances, suspensions, all that mixed in between, they somehow have pieced it together.
Yeah.
And it's not like the Mets offense has been exploding outside of Jeff McNeil in the second half. The starting pitching and the bullpen together in the 3 wins of the 5 games they've played have been absolutely phenomenal and crucial. Now you shift to a game like tonight in Sean Manaea. He's coming off of a very bad outing in Miami. How does he bounce back in such a hitters-friendly ballpark in Yankee Stadium? I'll tell you what, he probably shouldn't throw his changeup as much as he was in Miami. But no, 100%. There are still a lot of fans out there that will refuse to give a combination of David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza their credit. I'm not sure why, and I'm not going to be one of those fans. If you're one of those fans, more power to you. But I think right now, regardless of what the record is, which is a win-win because we're 4 games over 500 when just 2.5 months ago, we would have never thought this would be possible. You have to look at some of these in-game decisions and the roster workarounds and give the upper management and the overall manager of this club some damn credit. Now, the players deserve all the credit of the world, and I'm not going to go above and beyond to try to sit here and praise Mendoza and Stearns and into oblivion. It's the players at the end of the day. But for a rookie manager and for a guy that came in and inherited a roster where you could have gone 1,000 different directions with before the offseason, that he got hired just 2 months before it started, you got to give those 2 guys credit. And that's where I'll end my spiel on that. So that just had to be said because I see a lot of conversations on YouTube. I see a lot of conversations on X surrounding Mendoza and Stearns still in a negative light. I simply don't understand it. I simply don't understand.
Well, you know what? It was a lot of the fan base going into the season, calling Stearns a small market Stearns who's not going to do anything, not trusted him. He doesn't know how to spend money. And Mendoza, people were just putting him to fail even before the season. And everybody called this a transition year, which, look, I understand why people did it, but to realize that this was not really as bad as a team as people thought it would be going into the season. I know we had 87 and 85 wins going into the season, and we got laughed at. We know that. There was a lot of people thought we were insane, right? It looks a lot different right now. Now, things can change. We all know that. But they're just doing the right thing. They everything, well, not everything, but most of the things that they do and piecing things together with a ton of injuries, right? Not a lot of people want to talk about, people just say, oh, the Mets have a bad bullpen. Well, why did they have a bad bullpen? But they had a missing pieces in that bullpen during that great stretch that they had. It's not like they had their full healthy bullpen. They had a ton of injuries to trusted arms in this bullpen that were main pieces. It's not easy to come back from and to replace and use guys that are not bullpen arms or guys that you wouldn't have expected to be in the bullpen like a Nunez this year who stepped up. Jose Buto was in a rotation, big part of the bullpen now, right? There's a lot of things, right? Look at Alex Young yesterday, piggybacking off of Ottavino. That was huge for his debut. That was huge. How big it was, piggybacking off of Ottavino. And that's another thing, too, with Mendoza. He took Ottavino out as soon as it got very fishy. He did not waste time. I know people didn't want to see Ottavino there, but again, you can't bury a guy, Ottavino. I didn't like him in that spot. Now, you can get on maybe a little bit for that, but you can't just leave Ottavino and waste the roster spot and have him on this team and not use him in certain spots. You didn't have a lot of guys to go to, right? We know Buto wasn't available. We clearly knew Diaz wasn't available. He had a choice of Nunez in the ninth or was going to be using Diekman in the ninth. He said that in the post game, right? He thought, I believe, Nunez in the 7th inning where it was where the lineup was, thought Nunez was more important. And remember, not enough people were talking about that. People were talking about the 9th inning, which was great, but it's not like Mendoza really had a choice there. He had to go to Diekman, right? It was Diekman failing or succeeding. But that Nunez call earlier in the game was because he goes, you know what, it's right in the middle of this lineup. We know who we have to get out here, and Nunez did the job. And credit to Mendoza, who could have saved Nunez and could have went to anybody else. Could have went to Diekman in that spot, and who knows how the ninth inning would happen. Maybe Nunez would have done the job, but it worked out the way Mendoza did it, seeing that the seventh inning was the important inning because of where the lineup was. Now, it ended up turning over the lineup in the ninth, and you had to face the big boys anyway, but you don't know that. You can't foreshadow that going into the seventh inning, because it could have been a ball game where the Mets might have to come back in the eighth or the ninth, but that didn't happen. So that was excellent what Mendoza did.
Two things, Rob. 100% agree with you. That's like, as much as I kind of wasn't a fan of the way Buck Showalter was managing last season, that's something that you can tell was taken out of his playbook in terms of utilizing your better reliever in the higher leverage situation in hopes that the lineup doesn't turn over. So absolutely great point by you. Second thing, before, and I guess after we get off the bullpen conversation, I want to make sure that Phil Maton gets the love that he deserves as well. Another Stearns early acquisition in trading with the Tampa Bay Rays to get bullpen help early, which is fantastic. He's been fantastic for the large majority of a short sample size with the Mets so far. And three, I wanted to piggyback because in my whole rant, I kind of lost this in translation, what you said with that 96-mile-per-hour paint job inside corner fastball that Diekman threw to Aaron Judge that froze Aaron Judge. I don't know who called that. I don't know if Diekman called that. I don't know if Terrence called that, or I don't know if that was called from the dugout. Whoever called that is an absolute genius. Aaron Judge was not expecting it. He was guessing off speed all the way, and it shows because he didn't even attempt to swing at it. He was just hoping and praying that it was a ball, and Diekman did his job, painted the corner, 96, right by him. See you later. I needed to point that out because that was a beautiful pitch selection and a beautiful pitch sequence.
It was a great game plan overall against Aaron Judge, right? You don't want Aaron Judge to beat you. If you don't have a choice in that at-bat, in any at-bat in this game, I understand it, but they took Judge out of the game mentally. Like, when at that at-bat in the ninth inning, he was not ready to hit. Like, what did he swing one time in that at-bat? Like, he was not mentally prepared to be at the plate at that spot. The Mets completely took him out of the ball game. Aaron Judge thought he was going to get walked every single time. Like, he got walked 4 times. He was not going into that ninth inning at-bat thinking that they were going to pitch to him. And Diekman had his fastball. And that's the huge thing about Diekman. Diekman, when he's on, his fastball looks like 99 when he throws 95, 96. And he has pinpoint control when he's on. You could see he can throw it right at that dot where he needs to throw it. And he did that against Judge. That was amazing. And again, this is where Mendoza, being a part of the Yankees for so long, kind of has an idea of the approaches these hitters are going after. And listen, it's no secret here. The Yankees have 2 hitters in that lineup. They walked Judge because they didn't expect J.D. Davis to do anything. Or, Gleyber Torres did it a home run, but he did nothing. Volpe did nothing. LeMahieu did nothing. Right? They even tried to go later in the ball game with pinch hitting guys and still couldn't get it done. The fact is it remained the same story back when we faced them at Citi Field. If you take care of Soto and Judge and don't let those guys beat you. Now, the Mets did go after Soto yesterday, and Soto didn't do much at all. So they went after him, and they took care of business knowing that don't let Judge beat you, because he did beat us at Citi Field. Just the Mets scored a ton of runs. He was tremendous 2 games at Citi Field. And they learned. This is the other thing, too. They adjusted to their plan, to the plan that they had at Citi Field, where they went after Judge, even with big leads, where you could have still walked him and let somebody else beat you. Nobody beat you yesterday. Now, that can all change today, but I keep the same pattern. Don't let Judge beat you. Right? I know Hector in our group chat, when I said, if somebody else beats you, like Torres, LeMahieu, Volpe, or whoever else, Ben Rice, you tip your cap because you got to let the inferior guys on that team beat you than Aaron Judge because you know we can do it. You know Juan Soto can do it. I'd rather lose knowing that you are giving up runs to other guys because you're challenging those guys who are not that good. That happens. But to have Juan Soto and Aaron Judge quiet once again is why this Mets team probably won yesterday. Because they could easily said, screw it, let's pitch to Judge. We're not afraid. Would have been a very bad plan, most likely. And he might have done some damage if they did it. But none of the pitchers were close except until that Diekman at bat, Judge at bat in the ninth. So it was just a great plan, Chris. 100% great plan.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if that changes tonight, which I'm not sure it's going to, although the Yankees are throwing out probably their A lineup in terms of what they have personnel-wise today. Yesterday, obviously, they were batting, was it the catcher leadoff, and then they had J.D. Davis batting cleanup. That didn't make sense to me much at all. Yankees fans were very pissed off about that. Today is a little bit more of a traditional lineup for them, although I'm not sure. I can't speak on how many times they've led off with Gleyber Torres, who had this solo home run to the short porch yesterday off of Jose Quintana. But yeah, absolutely. I would expect that game plan to still be in play today. Obviously, it's situational. If you have a runner on second and third, you're going to give up the free base. If it's first and second, are you going to load the bases? Maybe not. So like I said, it's situational. It all depends, but 100%. I'm curious to see if it changes at all given how the Yankees constructed their lineup. But again, like I said, I would assume that it's not going to. We'll see. Sean Manaea definitely still has his work cut out for him. I agree with you. The Yankees lineup right now, there's a lot of guys that are slumping. You talk about DJ LeMahieu slumping. You said Ben Rice. I haven't been paying attention to what he's been doing since he's gotten the call up. But yeah, 100%. It just doesn't look like the same sort of Yankees lineup as they were trucking along earlier on this season. Now, that's always subject to change. Like I said, that can change tonight, and they can go on a hot streak and a hot stretch, right? Anything is possible at this time, and it is the New York Mets' luck that we're banking on, right, to escape Yankee Stadium without them turning it on. But at the end of the day, 100%, I'd rather get beaten by all the other guys not named Judge and Soto. You are 100% right about that.
Yeah, look, it would be frustrating if other guys beat you, but again, you can't go in this. You can't go with a game plan thinking that you can just beat Aaron Judge because it's just not like 9 out of 10 times this guy is going to beat you. That's how good he is. He's not the best player in baseball. You know, he's the best player in baseball for a reason, right? That's how good he is. Like he's getting the Barry Bonds treatment right now, and he should be getting the Barry Bonds treatment. Any team who allows him to beat them is just not putting a good game plan together. Again, situational, in different situations. Obviously, bases loaded, you're up by a run. You're not gonna walk them to get the tying run in. You're gonna have to go after him. So that's a lot of different situations could happen. But if I don't have to pitch to him, I will not. I will let, like today, Austin Wells is cleaning up, right? Volpe, Verdugo. Volpe has been struggling. Verdugo is a double play machine. J.D. Davis, we saw he couldn't hit the broadside of the barn yesterday. LeMahieu looks like he's done. Cabrera is a guy that was hot earlier in the season but couldn't find his footing. Like there's a lot of guys that are not doing well, and all you got to do is get in their heads. You saw that yesterday. They couldn't get the big hit. They just kept on pounding the ball on the ground all game, and we haven't brought him up. Jose Quintana, we talked about it yesterday on the pregame. We talked about what is a good start for Jose Quintana. We said 5 innings, 3 runs. We would take that. Now, that wouldn't be good, but we said we'd take that. He did 5 innings and 1 run. And that was impressive because, look, I don't think the Yankees lineup is that good, but he did have to manage Juan. He took care of Juan Soto, and he did the game plan against Aaron Judge and worked when he needed an out, he made an out happen based on who he was facing other than Aaron Judge. And that was a good start. I wouldn't say really good, but a quality start from Jose Quintana. I would have liked an extra inning from him, knowing that the bullpen was kind of scarce yesterday. But he did his job as what we were expecting, 5 innings, 3 runs we would take. He did 5 and 2 runs. So I take that from Jose Quintana as that's what we were looking for.
1 run. He only gave up 1 run.
1 run, yes, 1 run. Sorry.
Yeah. He exceeded expectations, Rob. Let me tell you this. I'm going to take that from Jose Quintana all day long. He exceeded expectations. So, listen, everybody, I appreciate everyone being here. We got a hell of a chat right now. We appreciate you all being here. Make sure you hit thumbs up on both streams. Subscribe to both channels. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you for rocking with us on the pregame. Exciting times for our New York Mets, especially with this Atlanta series coming up. I believe the update in the chat was that their second game is canceled. So they lost the first game of the doubleheader, and then they're not going to play the second game versus Cincinnati Reds. So 100%. This is great times, Rob. Great times. And like I said, Sean Manaea's got his work cut out for him. He's looking to rebound. They had a specific strategy, according to Gary and Keith in the booth, analyzing Sean Manaea's last start against the Miami Marlins, where he got smacked around. He had nothing working. They wanted him to throw more changeups early and often. The changeup was flat. It didn't have much late movement to it, and it was just getting smacked around. So he's got to stick to his cutter and his slider/sweeper. And I think if he does that, locates well, stays around the strike zone, changes eye level, because one thing that he doesn't like to do is throw his four-seam fastball all too much this season. And I think that is probably his best pitch in terms of the expected batting average and batting average in general. Throw that four-seamer more. But yeah, opposing hitters are hitting 316 off of Sean Manaea's changeup. Can't have that happen. Don't throw it often today. Get away from that game plan, and you should find some success because he has exceeded expectations so far this season. Sean Manaea was a great get, as was Luis Severino, as was Harrison Bader, to get to some more of the offense talk with the New York Mets here. All great finds by David Stearns. And I want to take a quick moment to shout out NY Committee as well. Not sure if they are in the chat right now, but I want to shout NY Committee out. Was the correct guess, correct answer on my community tab on my page with the Savant page or the baseball reference page in terms of guess that Met. I'm going to be doing that a lot more frequently on my channel. On the community page, I'll post a screenshot of baseball reference and the statistics page of a random Met player, either past or present. I've only done one so far, and NY Committee guessed it. It was Harrison Bader with those clutch statistics through the roof so far in 2024. He's on a little bit of a downslide right now, a little bit of a struggle over his last couple of games. Obviously not in the lineup tonight, but Harrison Bader, all in all, has also exceeded expectations. So shout out to NY Committee if you do watch this. And please, if you would like a shout out as well on any one of our streams, make sure you're guessing and checking the community tab because there will be more Guess That Met on my channel soon.
Absolutely. And, with today's lineup, as you know, it's a little different than yesterday, right? Alvarez batting 8th. I'm very impressed again by Mendoza, understanding the situation. Alvarez has been struggling badly. He's been one of the worst hitters in this lineup for a while. His power has been non-existent. He hasn't been as clutch as he was last year. And maybe a lot to do with it with his thumb. Maybe the thumb is a lot more of an issue than we're leading on here. Again, we don't know that. Look, listen, you're in the lineup, you're playing. I'm expecting you to do your job, right? If you're hurt, don't play, right? Go on the injury list. That's the way I always see it. When you're playing, I assume you're healthy, so you get criticized. Like, until we know otherwise, right now, he's playing, and he's playing almost every day, and he's not doing what we expect him to do. Alvarez's power is just gone, and I like that he's batting 8th. Take the pressure off of him, then batting 5th or 6th in the lineup. Get him out of the middle of the lineup. Let him be at the bottom of the order. And, you got Iglesias in front of him and McNeil, which I like as well. And look at 1 through 7. Like, if you're a pitcher right now, even Garrett Cole, that's not an easy 1 through 7 to get through. Even with Pete Alonso getting a couple of base hits over the last couple of days, driving, looking like he's getting the fat part of the bat on the ball. Now, I love Pete Alonso to drive the ball up in the air a little bit more, but he's getting his hits. It starts somewhere, just like Nimmo and Lindor and Martinez did once they started to get hot. Pete Alonso has put them better at bats together. We know McNeil batting over 400, 4 or 5 home runs in his stretch. He's been outstanding. Gerrit Cole, as good as he is, and he's been better since the Mets faced him at Citi Field. He got much better, and he's a guy that there isn't really a pitch limit, pitch count on him right now, so he can go deep into game if he's shutting you down. The Mets got to be smart here. Gerrit Cole is not going to play around the strike zone. He is going after you. Be ready for that fastball around the zone and strike early. I'm going to take Chris's idea and strategy when it comes to today's game, because working the count against Gerrit Cole could be dangerous because he doesn't throw a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. He doesn't like guys. He doesn't really make guys go fishing, right? He goes after you with that 98, 99 miles an hour up in the zone. You got to get that fastball down and strike early. He's going to try to get ahead in counts. You got to swing early. Again, situation will call for it depending on the situation. And if he has it early, if he can't throw strikes early, then we might really have Gerrit Cole on the ropes. But you have to get to him early, because once you get into a groove, you're going to see Cy Young Gerrit Cole, and that's not something the Mets really want. And he's a guy that can throw a complete game. The few guys in baseball that can throw a complete game and be damned about pitch count, right? I think his last start, he threw 98 pitches, so he can do it. And that's something the Mets have to avoid. You want to get back into that Yankees bullpen. The Yankees bullpen is not good at all. I mean, we talk about the Mets. At least the Mets have a ton of injuries, and they have an excuse of why they aren't as good, where their trusting arms are mostly all hurt. The Yankees, maybe one guy is not in that bullpen. Everybody else is guys that Cashman brought in there, and they're not doing their job. And that goes from the middle reliever guys all the way up until Clay Holmes, who no Yankee fans trust. If you listen to sports radio in New York, they don't trust Clay Holmes at all. So the key here, what Chris always, or most of the time, says, hit early and often against Gerrit Cole. Maybe you have a different plan today, but what is your thoughts on that with the lineup?
I don't care who's on the mound, right? If these Mets hitters are swinging first pitch, I know this is the most unpopular opinion on all of Mets YouTube, right? And I'm not sure who else is going to agree with me here. I don't care. As if you get a fastball in the strike zone on pitch number 1 or pitch number 2, it could be 2-0, it could be 3-0, like we've seen Brandon Nimmo put a ball over the fence on. If you get a fastball in your wheelhouse, please swing the bat. Now, I'm not a proponent of swinging at off-speed first pitch. If you get a nasty slider first pitch and you get fooled and you're swinging, not the best recipe for success. And we've seen Francisco Alvarez do that. I like the aggression, but it's got to be on something you can handle and more so straight rather than a slider that's going to break away from you. But yeah, I agree with you. Gerrit Cole, more or less, is 100% always around the strike zone. And if you are going to get down in the count against Gerrit Cole and you're going to try to walk, right? If you're looking for walks, if you're looking to work counts, that's great and all against a lot of pitchers in the MLB that aren't around the strike zone. Gerrit Cole usually is around the strike zone. He's usually not walking many hitters at all. So if you're going to consistently get down in the counts and you're fighting back from 0-2, 1-2, not a recipe for success. Although granted, whenever the Mets face Gerrit Cole, they have this knack to draw walks against him. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure exactly what goes on in the mind of Gerrit Cole when he faces the New York Mets, and hopefully I'm not jinxing the New York Mets right now, but it's a very evident fact that the Mets have had success, at least recently, against Gerrit Cole when they do face him. So we'll see what happens. Honestly, we'll see what happens. I like the Mets' approach. I like the aggression. I know the results really haven't shown themselves. I know Brandon Nimmo's in a slump. I know, what's his face? JD Martinez. Sorry, excuse me. I lost my train of thought there for a second. I know JD Martinez is in a slump right now. Lindor was going on a very great hot stretch, and he's like maintaining pace, but he's not like ripping the cover off the ball as much as he was like 2 weeks ago. Pete Alonso's starting to break out of it. Like, this offense is like, I feel like a shell of itself. than what they were going into the All-Star break. And that's kind of like that All-Star break lull that they hit that I was kind of worried about. I understand all that, but if they maintain the proper process, especially against the elite pitchers, they maintain the aggression, they maintain the ability to swing at strikes and not get down the count, they are going to find success. And like you said, or like the chat saying here, a couple people in this lineup have had success off of Garrett Cole in their careers. I believe Mark Vientos is 3 for 4 with the home run off of Garrett Cole, if I'm not mistaken. Tyrone Taylor's 3 for 6 in his career off of Garrett Cole. And one other Mets hitter, I think McNeil, has had some success off of Garrett Cole as well. I'm not exactly sure who else. You can find that very easily on ESPN, and Daniel can tell you in the chat as well because he's always usually on that too. But we'll see. The Mets are up against a very talented pitcher again. Last night is Luis Gil. They just barely were able to scratch that one run to tie the ball game. And we didn't even mention the full circle moment, Rob, of who the Mets and McNeil hit the home run off of yesterday. It was good old friend to the New York Mets, Michael Talkin. I don't know how or why Michael Talkin, whether he's in a Mets uniform or not, is still part of this season and coming up huge for the New York Mets. Right? Because we know he couldn't come up huge at all during his time, his short stint with the New York Mets this season when he was still in that bullpen. But yeah, it's a full circle moment. It's good to see, and I agree with you. The Yankees fans, the organization, Aaron Boone, how much trust do you really have after your starter gets out of the ball game? We'll see what happens. But I'm very confident, and I want to see good approaches at the plate tonight.
Yeah, I know people are bringing up numbers against Cole. Yeah, individual numbers, yes. But overall team numbers, they find way to win the ball game against Cole. Cole, as a Yankee, even Pittsburgh, but I'm just going to go with the Yankees, haven't had a lot of success as a team against the Mets, like winning and losing. I know individual numbers really doesn't, jump off the charts here individually against Cole, but the Mets find a way to win against Cole. If you look at a lot of the times they beat Cole, they got to him very early in the ball games. That's where you got look. Great pitchers get better over time in a game most of the time. And look, we know what Garrett Cole is, right? He's still coming back, still working his way back from injury, and hasn't pitched all season until recently. But you got to get to him early, right? This is a situation here where the Mets have an opportunity, top of the first, right? Swing early and often. Like, you'll know if Garrett Cole is on. If he's throwing that 98, 99 miles an hour fastball and pinpointing the outside corner and going up in the zone with that high fastball to try to strike you out, right? Because Chris said it and I said it. You're not going to have Garrett Cole work around. He ain't going to, chip away at you and make you try to swing at 3 pitches in the dirt. He's going after you, and the Mets got to be aware of it. And listen, the Mets have excellent game plans over this last 2-month stretch in a lot of games. Yes, you're going to lose. It's baseball. But most of the time, they've had really good plans going into ball games, right? And even when the plan doesn't work early on, they adjust. They change mid-game, right? If they were taking a lot of pitches early in the game, they're starting to swing earlier in the count, later in the game, or a complete 180-degree change depending on the situation. So this lineup has adjusted in game, something that they did not do in late April and May, and they've done it ever since. So I expect this lineup, who's been struggling to score runs, like they left the small country on base in the first 5 games of the season, in the second half after the All-Star break. They got to be more productive with runners in scoring position. It's not like they're not getting opportunities. They're getting guys in scoring position. They're getting men on base. They're just not getting it done more often like they were prior to the All-Star break. And I think they will eventually, because this lineup, look, you don't go for 2 months of 6.5 runs per game and not think this lineup is good. Like, it's hard to do that. Right? Bad teams, which a lot of people believe the Mets were for a while, don't do that for 2 months. So this team is capable. And I've said this. Look, 3 runs per ball game is dangerous. If you can score between 4.5 and 5 runs per ball game, you give yourself about a 78% chance of winning the ball game every single day. So that's their goal, right? 4.5 to 5 runs per ball game. I know that's on average, But if you do that, more often than not, you give yourself a chance to win, which the Mets, most of the season, even in May, if you go back, they lost a lot of one-run games, a lot of close games late. The Mets recently, or for the most of the year, because if you go back in April, they won a lot of close games as well. They play close games. More often than not, they've been winning those close games. The Yankees, on the other hand, the way they beat teams, and the only way they beat teams this year, is by outscoring a tremendous amount per game. The Yankees still hold the highest run total in baseball. They still have the highest run differential. Why is that? Because their first 2 months were outstanding. The last month and a half have been terrible. So if you keep the game close, the Mets have a better chance statistically over this season, the way it's been going for both teams, to win the ball game more often than the Yankees, because the Yankees are not good in close games. If I'm not mistaken, they're under 500 in one run and close 2 runs or less ball games, and they're one of the worst teams in baseball record wise over the last, I would say, 34, 35 games, which is a month of games. They're second to last to the White Sox record wise. They're like 20 games under 500 in a month. That's the New York Yankees, a team that was supposed to win 100 games, which they still might, and supposed to go to the World Series, as we hear every year with them. So, in this case with the Mets, keep the game close. I'm confident the Mets can win a ball game. I don't think the Yankees can win enough close games, especially where the bullpen that we have tonight, I don't know if Nunez is going to be available, but you do got Diaz at the back end. You do got Budo, who can probably go 2 innings. So what's the goal here? Get to the 6th and 7th inning with the lead, and now you're cooking. Because now the pressure is all on the Yankees. They're at home. They're looking to get all you hear. The Mets can sweep the Subway Series all 4 games. The pressure is all on the Yankees, not the Mets. The Mets should be coming into Yankee Stadium with rest now, because they had no rest yesterday at all with the plane situation in Miami. They're coming in with no pressure on them today. The pressure is solely on the Yankees. Let the pressure get to them, Chris. That's what the Mets have to do in this game to sweep the Subway Series.
I don't know how the players are feeling. I'm not sure if they're feeling pressure. I mean, I'm sure there's always pressure going into Yankee Stadium and playing in that high energy of an environment with the Subway Series. But I can tell you personally, as a fan, I'm sure everybody in this chat, whether they're in your chat or my chat right now that we're seeing right here, pouring in these comments, like, I'm not satisfied, man. I don't care. I love that we've taken 3 of 4 so far, but I need 4 of 4. And I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, at the end of the day, I will accept 3 or 4. Obviously, we've already taken the season series, but how amazing if a post game goes down tonight. I'm still TBD on it. Like I said, hit the notifications button. It might be a surprise pop-up stream if I do get the bandwidth to do so. I want this season series sweep. I don't care. Yankees fans can say this is our World Series, whatever. It doesn't really matter. They have double standards in terms of how they act after a loss versus after a win. It's either their World Series or the Mets suck, in between, whatever. Who cares? I want, and most importantly, not just because it's the Yankees, but I want this team as confident as ever going into this Atlanta series, which means 10 times more to me, to a lot of fans that don't really delve into the Yankees versus Mets rivalry, although I still do despise the Yankees, right? I despise the Braves even more. And I want the Mets to be at their peak confidence-wise going into this crucial, crazy, what's going to be electric with very high impactful meaning to this wild card race, Atlanta Braves series. Oh, and you just so happen to have Kodai Senga coming back and making a season debut as well. I mean, wow. What a time to be a Mets fan, Rob. I hope everyone's excited. I need this game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to get greedy at this point right now, right? The Mets are better than the Yankees at this point of the season. Get the job done. And we talked about this yesterday in the pregame, going into the Subway Series in the Bronx, right? It's not about beating the Yankees to get, brownie points. and to be the talk, to be the head honcho in New York for this season. It's not about that. It was about playing well and winning, keeping that momentum into the Brave series, right? Starting the Yankee series, the Mets were what? Four games out of a wild card behind the Braves. Now they're two. They can either end the game, regardless of there would be either 2.5 or 1.5 games going into the Braves series tomorrow, because the Braves did postpone the second game, but they lost the first game. So the Mets win today. They'll be walking into tomorrow at Citi Field against the Braves, 4-game series, with the possibility of taking over that number one spot and only a game and a half going into that series. We talked about it, right? If the Mets are anywhere within 4 games, they have an opportunity to at least tie that first wild card. Again, there's still a good amount of games to go. But to get to that point and to have that mentality of catching the Braves, it's a reversal of what 2022 was. I know it's a division, but we're not talking about division. The division right now is the first wild card. And that would be absolutely tremendous if the Mets get to that point. Again, they might not, but to go into that series tomorrow, possibly a game and a half in a 4-game series at home with Kodai Senga coming back, reinforcements coming back. Do you know how pumped and how crazy Citi Field's going to be for the weekend, for the Thursday through Sunday matchup? It's going to be packed. It's going to be loud. Everybody hates the Braves. I
wish I could be there. I wish I could be there.
Too.
It's going to be an environment like no other.
This is the moment where I'm like, fuck, why did I move down south? Like, seriously, I would be at Yankee Stadium right now. No questions asked. Like, I've seen a ton of my people that I go with all the time to Yankee games, as we always go in a kind of a group. We're there, taking over Billy's across from Yankee Stadium, and then, getting loud. Because yesterday, Met fans showed up. And I talked about this earlier in the season, how Met fans didn't show up. Met fans showed up at Yankee Stadium, right? We always talking bitch about the Yankees taking over Citi Field, Yankee fans taking over Citi Field. Met fans showed up yesterday, and they're going to show up really big today, knowing that Yankee fans are down. They don't trust their team. The Yankees are not playing well. The Mets playing the best baseball over the last 2 months, and they're ready to put the final nail in the coffin of this Subway Series tonight with Sean Manaea. Met fans, get pumped. I know you already are, but get pumped even more. Chris, I was exhausted starting this stream. Even Chris was like, Rob, you good? Like it's got me going right now because I'm exhausted, right? I was out with my coworkers last night at the bar. I'm so hungover. It's not even funny. And I'm just exhausted, but I can't wait for today's game. Shout out to Chris, pumping my ass up before this stream as I was just probably on my 13th cup of coffee. I'm ready to go now. Maybe it's the caffeine. Maybe it's the Mets. Maybe it's Chris. Maybe it's you guys in the chat. But let me shut up right now. And I don't know how long you want to go, Chris, but what else you want to talk about? We talked about the lineup. Is there anything in particular you want to see in this ball game against the Yankees?
No, I'm not really sure. I think we've exhausted the Yankees and what the Mets need to do tonight. I think the pitching matchup speaks for itself. The lineup speaks for itself. We talked about the bullpen. We talked about everything so far. I'm glad you're finally awake. It's 6:06, damn it. Come on, Rob.
I tell you. Whew,
got a ball game in like 50 minutes.
Work was tough overnight, man. Work was bad, man. Whew.
No, I'm sure. Shout out to you. I know you're always grinding, but no, I think the only thing that I want to say is I think Marcus is in the chat talking about Matt Olson money. Go and look at what Matt Olson is doing right now. I mean, go and look at his season and what he's doing right now. It's not too pretty. So we'll see what happens. Everyone always talks about Matt Olson money. I even still think with the way Pete Alonso's going right now, he's gonna blow past Matt Olson money, to be honest with you. But yeah, I just want to throw that nugget out there because I literally just typed in Matt Olson. I looked at his statistics and I was like, oof, that's pretty bad. But anyways, the only thing that I want to talk about is just a couple of news clips, news highlights that we got updates from today on a couple guys. Christian Scott, great news. He's not requiring surgery just yet. He's going to do the rest and then rehab. He's going to go that route. No surgery required. The Mets are hopeful that maybe there's a chance they could get him back. But even if he doesn't appear in a game for the rest of this season, at the bare minimum, it's good that he doesn't need surgery. So that's very positive news. On the flip side of things, where we thought there was going to be some bullpen help, Sean Reed-Foley, as of I think like 10 minutes ago or something, his rehab assignment did get pushed back and he is behind schedule to make his return. So Sean Foley's still dealing with a little something there with his injury. But other than that, that's it, man. I mean, nothing more, nothing less. I'm getting greedy. We are all greedy. We want 4 of 4 from the Yankees. We want it. Ride high into this Brave series. Screw the Yankees, screw the Braves. Doesn't really matter. All we're concerned about is the New York Mets. But I agree with everybody in the chat. We still haven't seen this offense gel together completely at the same time. Brandon Nimmo, like everyone's saying, Patty's saying in the chat, has cooled off ever since the All-Star break. JD Martinez, even going into the All-Star break, wasn't performing up to expectations and what he was early on in the season. I really do think that there's another level to this lineup and the personnel that the Mets have to be unlocked and unleashed as we head closer and closer to the end of the season. But that's it for me, man. I'm pumped. I'm energized. Gonna get right off this stream, do a couple chores, do some tasks around the house. Just a quick word to everybody. I'm not sure how much you'll see me over the next about week. We'll see. I know the deadline's coming up. I am taking a trip. Got to see what my setup's going to be looking like when I'm on my trip in terms of if I can get on here and do some content or not, hop on some streams with the Mets weekly crew and you as well, Rob. So we'll see what happens. But other than that, listen, I'm pumped for today. Appreciate all the support. There's a lot of content going down, if not within the next week. Definitely post All-Star or post-deadline, working on getting a recurring guest that was on my channel from before the season started, back on my channel to do a little bit of a Mets assessment post-deadline. I'm sure we'll talk about also this team, me and you, Rob. A lot of stuff going on the channel, whether it's Knicks or Mets related. I got you covered. Subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and let's win a damn ball game tonight. Let's go Mets.
Absolutely, and CP's World Tour continues. During the trade deadline, we love it. And yes, absolutely. Listen, if you can pop on at any moment during your vacation, you're always welcome. Just let me know. I'm going to be doing a ton of MLB trade deadline specials over the next week before the deadline. A couple of Hot Stove as Hector's favorite show. So I will have Hector on that just for the hell of it. And because Hector is on and people are asking in the chat, yes, we apologize for the roundtable not really being here this month. A lot of scheduling craziness. It's hard to get all 4 of us together. It's been so important to have 4 of us together because we don't want to leave anybody out at this point of the season, right? Because everybody's opinion matters and we want to get everybody's opinion out there. And don't worry, it's supposed to be this Sunday. It's looking like it's looking good for Sunday night, most like whatever time, we'll figure that out. But we're going to probably post it. I'm going to post a stream on Saturday so we can promote it all over the place. Everybody can share it on their social media pages and all that. So we got a full day of sharing and promoting that stream until Sunday night roundtable. And hopefully going into Sunday, the Mets can be talking about a hell of a second half starting, especially with the Yankees and the Braves. Because we could talk about Sunday, the Mets being a first-place wildcard team. That would be an exciting roundtable. That would be a crazy roundtable. It's already going to be a crazy roundtable, even if it's a average or a decent homestand against the Braves. But we'll see. We'll get there. We'll talk about it. What a great pregame, just about an hour long. Mets looking for the Subway Series sweep with Garrett Hall on the mound for the Yankees. Sean Manaea for the Mets. Mets are 52-48. They're trying to get the 5 games over 500, which would be the high water mark of the season. Finally, can they do it tonight against Garrett Cole at Yankee Stadium? Met fans will be showing up today. I know a ton of people that are going once again, and even more that I've seen in my 300-plus group chat that I usually have with a ton of people that go to Yankee Stadium and travel across the country to watch the Mets. So it's going to be a big, big blue and orange in the Bronx today, and we're going to take over the Boogie Down tonight once again. Chris, it's always a pleasure. Everybody in the chat, excellent chat today, guys. Excellent questions, excellent points. With that said, the Amazing Mets pregame show in the books. We'll see you later. Hopefully, Chris might see you in the postgame, TBD. But if not, we definitely will see you tomorrow. Hopefully talking about a Subway Series sweep and another win for our New York Mets. Have a great night, guys. Enjoy the game. Let's go, Mets. Beat those Yankees. See you next time, guys.
Let's go, Mets.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go?